People internally displaced, half of them are in the grounds of hospitals, schools and UN shelters. More than 10,300 have been killed, according to the Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza, of which 4,000 are children. They write names on the legs of these children so their parents can identify them. But the Israeli government said today it doesn't believe there's a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. It doesn't believe there's a shortage of food and water, and there is no appetite in Jerusalem for a humanitarian pause or a ceasefire, says the Israeli Prime Minister, until all the hostages have been released.
I spoke to the president of the International Red Cross and I asked them to immediately work in such a direction that they will release all the hostages. It is a war crime, and I've also asked them to immediately visit all our hostages in order to ensure their health and well-being. I convened all the ambassadors here in Israel yesterday, and I said that I'm calling upon them to ensure that this war crime will not continue, that they will bring back and work so that all our hostages come home. There will not be a ceasefire until all our hostages come home.
Let's speak to Faris Al-Jawad in Jerusalem. He is the spokesman for the Palestinian branch of Médecins Sans Frontières. Thank you for being with us this evening. Faris, what can you tell us about the situation tonight in Gaza City and the situation at the hospitals?
Well, I just wanted to state something that I overheard before I came on, which was that there wasn't a humanitarian crisis. I believe one of the spokespersons had said in Gaza, which is just the most alarming thing I think I've heard in a long time. Our staff are going through a daily and nightly nightmare. The situation is absolutely horrific. There are no words in the English dictionary for me to be able to describe to you what we're hearing and what we're seeing on the ground. The hospitals that our staff are working in are absolutely bursting at the seams. People can't even walk through the operation theatres because there are patients on the floor, everywhere in the corridors. Sometimes our doctors and surgeons have even had to perform amputations without anaesthesia on children. There's a lack of absolutely everything you can imagine that is needed to run a hospital or any kind of medical facility. Children are coming in with horrific burns, and we don't even have the right types of materials to prevent them from the excruciating pain that it is to do the relative care for them. So, I mean, as I said, the description of the situation is not true because it's not graphic enough. One of my colleagues told me the other day that this wouldn't even be possible to be seen in a horror movie because it's too graphic. Everybody's walking around like zombies. They're not sleeping. They don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 minutes, let alone the next 24 hours. It is abysmal and it needs to stop now. We need an immediate ceasefire.
If they thought there was a humanitarian crisis, there would be a pause. They would allow in more than 500 trucks that have gone in a month. They would see the necessity, but that's not what's happening. In fact, the Prime Minister, according to his interview, doesn't see the need for a humanitarian pause at this moment. Why?
I mean, could you be more out of touch with reality would be my response to that, or are you simply oblivious? I mean, the reality on the ground is just abysmal. Remember, most of the patients coming into hospital are children. They're children with horrific burns, with fractures, with crushed bones. I was just speaking to my medical coordinator and she was telling me that for normal cases, red cases, which would be critical cases that could be saved in a normal scenario, are now just being triaged and having to make the horrific decision to say we have to let these people die because we need to try and save the moderate cases. The reality on the ground is just awful, and this is just for the people that are dying on the spot. Don't forget, 200 babies approximately are being born daily, and there is no food for mothers. There's no food for them to be able to produce